Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network, and we are here to overreact to what we saw this weekend, and of course, look ahead to tonight's game. And Tyler, I see a lot of arguments in our future, from everything to how tonight's going to go to what we saw yesterday. But let's dive right in. First of all, overall thoughts, and then we'll go game by game.
I think everything went pretty much how we talked about on Tuesday last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how much arguing we're going to do outside of I think your Philly take is dead. That quarterback ain't beating Detroit's defense. So other than that,
Oh, really?
I think everything stuck to colors.
We'll see if Detroit's even there.
Yeah, because they're going to lose to Washington.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, it's just like it was a possibility the Steelers were going to win their playoff game, but that possibility never came.
No, Washington's got a way better chance. JC, welcome in.
What a spot to be entered, because I came in and I heard and Washington's going to beat Detroit, not realizing Tyler was being sarcastic. How
you got a chance.
Anyway, I can't.
Well, how can they not? Did you see Jaden Daniels yesterday?
No, I would completely agree, especially with all the injuries Detroit has. Like, I think it's a possibility.
Yeah, they're live.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're going to win, but they're live, and since that line got open, they got hammered because 10 points was simply way too much. It's down to 8.5 right now. Is that what you're seeing?
Trying to pull it up because my normal site doesn't have them up.
I see 8.5.
Yeah, I got 9. I got 9 offshore. Okay, let's talk about every.
10. I would have laid the 10
for sure.
You're crazy. Okay, yeah, we're definitely gonna be arguing today. All right, let's go game by game. The very first game was fodder for everybody who wants to slander Justin Herbert, and I simply don't think it's fair. So I'm going to be standing alone like Jon Snow in that one gif that they always make from Game of Thrones. That was actually a pretty unrealistic scene too. But yeah, that's going to be me fighting the hordes of armies, as everybody's going to want to bury Justin Herbert's career because of this bad performance. But I'll let you guys take it away, and then I'll make my arguments. Tyler, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on the Texans defeating the Chargers?
No, I think that game, it was an ugly game the first half, which we all expected. There wasn't much offense going. And then Herbert turned the ball over a couple times. And I'm not going to fault him for that. One of those interceptions wasn't his fault. It drilled the receiver in the hands, and he dropped it. The man really only had one wide receiver all year. You could argue the same thing on the other side at this point for Houston, but Houston was able to run the ball with Joe Mixon. The Chargers weren't really able to run the ball, so that was the deciding factor in the game. We knew Houston's defense was still good. Everyone wanted to just count Houston out as being this bad team now because they sputtered their way into the playoffs. The defense is still good. They could still win games. That's what they went out and did. So that's pretty much what I got on that game. I'm not going to blame Herbert and sit here and throw him.
Thank God, because, dude, I already know what's going to happen on my show at the Wagering World because me and 5-Star were texting, and he's going to go full inside the NBA and just bang on Herbert for not having a good playoff win when what we should be doing, let's do this things right. Let's celebrate the Houston defense. Okay. You told me, I don't know what year did he come out? That was 2 years ago now. Will Anderson should be the number 1 pick, right? I remember you saying that the whole season when he was at Alabama, right? He's the best player in the draft, right? So they have an elite pass rusher and they have a great defensive line. Then I know because Sauce Gardner plays in New York, everyone wants to say that he's the best corner in the league. And I'm not saying he's bad, but Derek Stingley's the best corner in the league right now. So they have one of the best pass rush, the best corner, and they're going against a team with absolutely no weapons. I think it was just a masterful job by D'Amico Ryans and that defense. I thought that what we saw is really how you turn a franchise around and going ahead and making that splash and trading for Will Anderson was really worth it because they identified a player who, like you said, could have potentially been the very best player in the draft, and they went after him, right? And they were aggressive, and it paid off for him. So I thought the story of the game was the Houston defense, and I felt that allowed Stroud and company to look a little more comfortable because they weren't forced to drop back all the time. They could get the running back involved. Mixon kind of had a slow start, but they didn't have to get away from it. So I thought that Houston was really good. I actually just wrote up that game, Tyler. And of course, we're allowed to change our minds, right? Because I wrote up the Chargers game last week at this time. And then when it came to the Tuesday show, we both kind of flipped, right? Do you remember that?
Yep.
But as of right now, I'm taking the points with the Texans here. I think they will be able to keep things close. So final thoughts on the Chargers. It seems to me like this is an easy fix.
I don't even think it's a quote unquote fix as much as it's like we all knew they really only had one wide receiver. J.K. Dobbins is a great
tight
story,
ends and no running backs.
But you need another running back with him in the backfield. They really didn't have that. Go out, get another wide receiver. Go get T. Higgins. Make him your one. Make Ladd your two. That's a really good 1-2 combo. I think Ladd's a great receiver, but I think he is a number 2 and not a number 1.
Oh, for sure. He might even be a number 3 in a really good offense.
Yeah, he would fit so much better opposite a stud wide receiver or in the slot with another.
I mean, just imagine if you flip the teams and you had him on one, with Houston. If you had Nico Collins and then Diggs and you had McConkey as a slot, you'd be set. So
I wouldn't mind them going out and drafting that kid Bond out of Texas either. He's another nice wide receiver that could fit in that scheme.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think they need. I mean, I think they should hit free agency, but I don't think they need to make a splash like T. Higgins. I think they can pick up some of these cheaper guys that'll be moving around like a Trey Tucker or guys like that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they could
and then attack through the draft. We talked about the depth of wide receiver and running back. Go all in on these skill positions because they seem pretty close. JC, what are your thoughts on the Texans and where do the Chargers go from here? Because to me, the future looks bright. Let's put some weapons around this kid. Let's see this offense hum.
No, for sure. I mean, it is definitely a tough look for Chargers fans. Like, they're going to be upset. They're going to be questioning whether Herbert's the guy. But they've just been so inconsistent this season. And, I kind of thought they were live in this game because of how they played. Like they had that rough stretch and they finished out the season well. But then based on what Harbaugh has done, I think just took a season. He brought them to the playoffs. They were competitive within their division. Their games against the Chiefs were good. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're sick of the first-round exits, but I don't think there's any reason to be too bleak on their overall outlook. I think Harbaugh will come back better next year. And Herbert had more interceptions, in this game than he did all year. It was just a bad game. So, no reason to overreact. I think the future is bright for Chargers.
All right.
Perfect segue. He said, they shouldn't be upset with a first-round exit. Let's go into the night game.
No, I got one question first. Because we don't have JC tomorrow. Right now, Texans are catching 8. Total is 41.5. Where are you looking on that one, JC?
I'm seeing 7.5, and I'll absolutely lay it. I mean, this is
no way. I'm taking the points.
Playoff Chiefs. I mean, have we not seen, we just saw that progression the last few weeks? Chiefs, they're reached final form. I will need to look back because I don't do.
How many dogs covered in round 1? None.
What's up?
How many dogs have covered in round 1? None, right?
Well,
Washington.
Washington.
Okay, they won outright.
The other thing, I will have to look back and see how the Chiefs typically do in the divisional round, if they normally, because I'm sure they're normally heavily favored. So I'll be interested to see if they usually cover and what that looks like. But just, without any analytics, I would lay the points.
I'm taking the points. This game was 3 when they played on December 21st. Now it's 7.5. I don't think that they're 4.5 point difference.
This is a very different Chiefs team, though.
Is it? Why? Hollywood Browns with 4.5 points?
No, because they got it together.
4.5 points?
No, because it was.
How did they get it together? Losing 38-0 to the Broncos?
Yeah, I guess that's all it took.
All right, JC and I will be on opposite sides there. But like I said, we can change our minds because
how many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man? The points ain't going to help you when the Chiefs are out there beating them by 20.
All right, well, you and I will continue this conversation tomorrow. JC, final thoughts on Chiefs Texans before we move on to the next game.
I was hoping Patrick Mahomes is 13-5 in the playoffs ATS.
Fair enough. What's CJ Stroud? 2-1.
If even.
Yeah, all right. Okay, yeah, it probably wasn't the best argument by me. I'll think of some better ones by tomorrow. All right, Tyler, let's dive in. How are the Yinzers feeling after falling 28-14? And let's be honest, it didn't even really feel that close. Yeah. I mean, maybe there was a shot at a backdoor cover there, but at the end, the inefficiency of this offense was too much, and this vaunted Steelers defense could not stop Derrick Henry, and that was the key to the game. 26 attempts, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. The combination of Henry and Lamar was far too much. So let's hear it, Tyler. Let's hear the lament of a Steelers fan.
I mean, 6 years in a row, we walk into the playoffs as the worst playoff team on the board, and we get smoked in the first round. It's every year. You know how many minutes we've led in our last 6 playoff games, Fred?
4 minutes. Actually, I saw that stat. You might have sent
4
it
minutes.
To me.
You want to know when those 4 minutes were? When they caught the Chiefs sleeping, and TJ Watt strip sacked them, took it back, and they were up 7-0 for about 4 minutes. And the Chiefs scored 28 straight points.
Yep.
What are they going to do? They're going to bring everything back. They're going to say, oh, we won 10 games. We made the playoffs. We had a winning season. Let's run it back. And they're going to do the same thing next year and get smoked in the playoffs by a good team.
Yeah, I mean, we were texting about it. So to summarize the text messages, right? Of course, Tyler wants to get rid of Tomlin. And my contention is that it's the front office that's failed the team, not the coaching. They have by far the worst quarterback in the playoffs. Would you agree? Is there a worse quarterback in the playoffs?
I mean, I'd probably your boy's not all that good, I'd say.
Bo Nix is 10 times better than Russell Wilson. There's a reason that when Russ
did
was
throw
on
for 280 yards in that game.
That's just empty stats. When it mattered, he couldn't make a throw.
I mean,
and then when they got behind 28-0, or 21-0, he was able to throw. All he can do is throw a go ball to Pickens. I mean, he can't make any of the underneath routes.
We could kind of say the same thing about Bo. Bo scored a touchdown on the opening drive on a
according to you, Bo's the check down
and then
version.
He got suffocated the rest of the game. He didn't do a damn
in his first playoff start ever.
Oh, here we go. Now we're making excuses for him. You asked me if Russ was the worst quarterback on the board. He wasn't, because there was a rookie in his first start.
Yeah, I mean,
like shit.
I hate the defense guy, but also too, he's playing in Buffalo against one of the best defenses. That was, no one's going to excel in that kind of situation.
All right,
yeah,
so arguably the worst quarterback, probably the worst running back. I mean, Najee Harris is terrible.
I don't know about worst running back. I mean,
for sure, definitely not worst.
Worst running back in the matchup, I agree, but worst running back in the playoffs, no chance.
Playoffs? Who's
no
the
chance.
Worst?
I mean, right back to your Denver team. They don't have a goddamn running back.
Yeah, you're probably right. Also, Najee's probably better than Dobbins at this point, but I don't know. Yeah, they have no offensive line.
Didn't even get a pressure on the quarterback. Didn't even get a tackle that game.
Did you see that stat?
Still
I think you sent it. Tyler, were you the one that sent that stat about how many games or snaps TJ Watt has played without recording a defensive?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, hey, I don't think he ever recovered from that injury, and that's the problem when you have a juice monkey. They're not going to, everybody knows Watt's been juicing since like 8th grade. I mean, that's like a well-known secret in the NFL. It's hard to stay healthy when you're overextending your body that much. But here's my point, and we'll this will be probably our final time having this argument, because it looks like the Steelers are bringing him back. It's on the front office. You guys got to make a splash. And it sucks that Deshaun Watson got hurt, because maybe you could have traded up to 2.
You do know they overhauled the front office last year, and that's what made all the changes to the roster. There was only one change in the front office that didn't change.
Well, I don't count Tomlin as a front office. Your front office is
he does a lot of the front office stuff, Fred. You're just buying excuses for him. If we can go back through the shows all year, and you'll be like, "Oh, Tomlin drafts well. He does this well in the front office."
No, I said he develops well.
And now that it's over, and we need fingers to point, go above him. Don't let the finger point at him. It's not his fault.
Because the coaching wasn't the issue. The roster is.
I mean, they made no coaching adjustments down the stretch of the season. They lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, to all superior teams.
I don't know about the Bengals.
You have washed up Russell Wilson as your quarterback, no offensive line, a bad running back. one wide receiver total. None of your other wide receivers even make a roster. They're all practice squad players.
I tried telling you that a long time ago.
It's bad roster management. All right, JC. Final time we're having this argument, I hope.
So, I mean, I got two thoughts. The first one that I am curious about. So, like, I mean, around week 10 or 11, like, we really thought this Pittsburgh team had a chance to win the AFC.
Fun fact. That's when the clip of the Ravens coach came out that said Russ only throws 3-pointers and layups. He's either going deep or he's going underneath. There's nothing across the middle. From there on out, we didn't win a game.
Interesting, because I mean, that was around the time Pickens went down, so that seemed to hurt you. But then even when you got him back, like whatever week he did end up coming back, not great. So I was just curious why you thought, like, what caused that downfall, and is that it? Just Harbaugh letting everyone know what the Steelers' secret is.
I mean,
to be fair, they did run up that record against some bad teams, and they finished on a gauntlet. Not that excuses them, right? But
they've done this multiple years in a row where they've looked good through 10 weeks, and all of a sudden,
and then Juice Monkey gets hurt.
No, not just that. They get figured out, and they can't score points. It doesn't matter that the Juice Monkey's hurt. The Juice Monkey's not running around on offense to score points.
I mean, he's pretty key to a lot of those early season wins. Like when you were winning games without scoring touchdowns, it was because of him.
Yeah, I mean, we had the best kicker in the league, too. That was putting, 15 on the board?
Yeah, that was sweet. I had it in fantasy. Yeah. All right.
So it is really funny, though. One thing I was going to say about this game is, like, when I I didn't end up pulling the trigger on this game because of the two teams that were playing. I mean, you take these rosters, you put them in any other uniforms, I think everyone would have gladly laid the 9 for the Ravens. But because it was Ravens-Steelers, like, people, myself included, got in their head. And it's like, I don't know if the Ravens can actually win by more than a touchdown twice against the Steelers. Just because of the history. But yeah, I mean, it was Steelers did not look like a team that should be in the playoffs. So I understand Tyler's frustrations. I completely see where it's coming from. But again, my point still stands that, like, you don't understand how few options there are out there. And I think if you get, like, a real quarterback on this team, I mean, I think that would drastically improve them.
So we're just playing the plug and play until we finally get the guy?
Oh, like I said, you don't have all these holes on your roster like most teams do. You can trade a shitload of picks.
They'll never do that.
I'm just saying, like,
and that's the front office. That's not Tomlin.
You get the reincarnation of Vince Lombardi, and I still don't think, like, there's only so much you can do with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I don't think Bill Walsh is making this team win.
Right.
I just think his style of coaching has expired. You don't win on the defense anymore and running the ball. You need an elite quarterback. Look at all the quarterbacks that won yesterday and look at the ones that lost.
I mean, the Ravens did a pretty good job of playing elite defense and running the ball. I mean, was Derrick Henry the difference in that game? I think so.
Yeah, but look who they have at quarterback. They have an elite MVP.
Yeah.
So at any moment, you got to put the ball in his hands. He can make a play.
Yeah, I mean, you have a good point there.
Your guy Tomlin passed on him in the draft for a guy named Terrell Edmonds.
I don't think Tomlin's in charge of your draft like you think he is.
Because he drafted Jarvis Jones also. Yeah, you got TJ Watt, right? But he's drafted a lot of bums.
All right. Well, we're going to keep having this argument next year because you're not getting rid of him.
Steve knows how much he's in the draft process. He could back me up on this point.
Okay. Well, at a certain point, though, your front office has to be your front office. For example, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, right?
They've been there 1 year. Spread. What do you want them to do? These are all new guys. The only guy that didn't change is the coach.
Yeah. You know what I want them to do? I want the front office to be a real front office, make some moves, get a real quarterback.
The GM rolling in last year and trading the first round pick that came in 2 years before that was supposed to be their franchise quarterback, and going out and getting new guys to play quarterback, trading for a corner, trading a wide receiver that was disgruntled. That wasn't enough moves. What do you want them to do? Play Madden and move the entire roster?
I want them to trade 3 first-round picks for the second overall pick and grab Cam Ward or Shooter Sanders.
Yeah.
That's what I want them to do. Until you give them a real quarterback, you can't have high expectations. JC, final thoughts on the Steelers and the Ravens?
Are the Ravens going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I've been saying that for weeks.
No.
They're
They're
going to
not gonna win next
smoke
week.
Buffalo. They are going to
they're not.
smoke Buffalo this
No,
week.
they're not.
And they're going to go to KC and get a victory.
Huh. All right.
Wow, they're favored in Buffalo?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Give me the Bills.
Here's
I have it.
Steelers
even
first
on
round pick
offshore.
since 2018. Terrell Edmonds, 5th-year option, declined. Devin Bush, 5th-year option, declined. 2020, traded for Minka. 2021, Najee Harris, 5th year, declined.
Yeah.
2022, Kenny Pickett, traded after 2 years.
Yeah.
Great drafting.
What? Tomlin is not your GM. Blame your
Tomlin
GM.
has a huge say in who is drafted.
Okay, they get a real GM that can tell him to like I said, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch is Kyle Shanahan's handpicked guy. But at the end of the day,
it's funny because I'm almost positive I seen spread saying this same statement all year.
yeah,
And
maybe you have to wait till
now
next
he's
year.
flipping his words because it's all
No,
on Tomlin.
I'm just saying you should have done it at some point because you are one player away. You can
Right,
afford to take the
you
hit.
really, really remind me of this kid I went to high school right now. That was flat out
It was jacked
infatuated
and
with
good looking.
LeBron
Got all the
James.
girls.
And
yeah,
LeBron
we
James
do
couldn't
remind
do
you of
anything
him.
wrong. If you told the guy he had a bad game, he would find an excuse for why he had a bad game. You are the same exact way with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, that's me. Truther. All right, JZ. Yeah, I know. Maybe you wait till next year, but that just sucks because then you're like the Raiders and you're just throwing away a whole another year.
Yeah, I'm a Miami fan, and
We've
I
been throwing
can't
away
believe
years
that
for
Cam
7
Ward.
years, Fred.
What's up?
We've been throwing away years for 7 years. This is 7 years in a row we've done this.
Yeah. Probably should have attacked the quarterback 2 years ago when there was 5 Hall of Famers.
Tell that to our draft process leader, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. Your GM. Blame the GM. It's called general manager. He's the one in charge. All right. JC, let's move into what we saw Sunday morning as the Broncos eviscerated the Bills. I'll be honest, we had a long weekend of football. I went and did some yoga on Sunday morning. I didn't watch this game. Talk to me about what you saw. We'll start with you, Tyler. It seems like JC's got some guests over there.
Yeah. It's I mean, the game kind of went exactly how we expected. I mean, I didn't think Denver
Not really.
would go out and score
I
first. I thought they
Denver
would get
put
their
more
touchdown
points.
late. They were able to. My computer was freezing up. Would you say?
I'm sorry. Yeah, and I interrupted too, but I was going to say it didn't go how I thought. I thought Denver's offense would look better.
Yeah, I thought Denver was going to get suffocated. Me and Keg and Holden went on Friday's show, and me and Keg told Holden that this team wasn't getting to 10, and he told us we were basically smoking crack. Well, they got to 7, and they never, ever got close to scoring again.
Yeah.
Their team total under 19.5 was an absolute gift. And when they scored that touchdown, they went to 26.5. That should have been generational wealth bet right there.
Yeah.
Buffalo's great, but their defense worries me against good teams. And they are going to play one of the best offenses in the league this week.
All right.
I think Baltimore's defense is better than Buffalo's at this point. I don't think Buffalo's going to be able to run the ball on Buffalo, or Buffalo's going to be able to run the ball on Baltimore's defense, but I think Baltimore's going to be able to run the ball on Buffalo. I think this is the Baltimore spot this week.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be opposite there, but as much as we've been arguing this morning, I do agree that Baltimore defense has been playing fantastic. I can't remember the name of the defensive coordinator, but do you remember at the beginning of the year where we were kind of
Michael Orr?
I'm not
Zach
sure,
Orr?
but I feel like we did this with Philadelphia too, where these guys they lose the old coordinator and the new guys take a little while to get their system going. Do you remember me calling out Fangio when they were 2-2?
Yeah.
Well, turns out I was a little impatient. I mean, we are here to overreact on this show, but sometimes these new schemes, it takes a little while to get in place. And if you look at the last 8 weeks, the second half of the season, Philadelphia as well. But once that he really had time to install a scheme, make a few changes, coach his players up, we've seen a huge improvement from that Baltimore defense. I agree with you. The key to the game is going to be the ability of Baltimore to run the ball. I mean, because what we saw once Derrick Henry gets going like that, it's just too much because you got a Keon Lamar and the play action, it's just too much for a defense to handle. So Buffalo's going to have to be really good against the run. However, I do think they're going to do it, and I think the offense is going to look good, and this is where home field might be the difference. JC, what do you think?
About this game or about the Bills' next game?
Whatever you want to talk about, JC. We'll just kind of loosely correlate it to the Bills and the Ravens, all right? Just kind of stay on topic.
I was out on the worst time zone yesterday, so this game started way earlier than I expected. And
wait, do you think we're the worst time zone?
Far and away. I hate Pacific time. So I turned on the game, it's already 7-0, and I'm like, oh wow, is this actually going to be interesting? This is actually going to be a good game. And it sure was not. So, the Bills just did what they do, man. That offense moved the ball just effortlessly. And, the Broncos are nowhere near the team that the Ravens are, but it's still, man, it's just a reminder of how dominant that team can be. So, the Bills rolled, and I got no clue what direction I'm going to go on this next game, because I think both these teams are just so electric and can just overpower opponents. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. It was again, just another wasted game, just something to put on TV, because once again, just another example of the favorite dominating, and a reason we did not need to expand.
Yeah, we don't really need 7 seeds in the playoffs.
No.
That 7th one is pretty pointless. All right. That's my final thought on that one. I see our guy Mo Money in the chat calling that Eagles game, but Tyler, you were on it as well. That's one thing that we got right this weekend, and I felt like it was fairly easy. Jamie did make some great points for the Packers last week, but in the end, it simply came down to Jordan Love still needs to develop a little more, and a player like him, it's going to be tough because he is so aggressive. Also, the Philadelphia defense didn't give him much to work with. I feel like when your defense is playing that well, it kind of puts pressure on the opposing quarterback to kind of force some things. Also, with your season on the line, who cares how many interceptions you get, right? It's better than being with Derek Carr and just checking it away or throwing it away on 4th down, to protect your stats. So, I think Love still got a ways to go, but Philadelphia to me was just superior in all aspects of the game. And Jalen Hurts to me is quietly fairly underrated as a quarterback. We kind of leave him out of these top conversations when we're talking our top 5. I know I do. I never put him in my top 5. Maybe we need to reconsider that the next time we do a quarterback show, because that'll be a fun thing for us this offseason. So I was impressed by the Eagles, Tyler. I thought they looked great. We got it right. We laid the points with the Eagles, and it was a fairly easy cover. What did you see in that game?
I need to know what's in that cup of yours that you're going to put a quarterback in your top 5 that threw for 131 yards.
In a 22-10 victory where the running back had
25 carries for $120.
119. Yeah. Why? What did he need to do? This isn't about stats. It's about winning games.
Yeah, but he didn't really do much to win the game, Spread. He just kind of hung out there.
2 touchdowns.
He got gifted a short field on the opening kickoff because they fucking made him fumble right at the beginning of the game. Excuse my language. Mm-hmm. Green Bay lost an offensive lineman before the game started. They were missing Christian Watson. They were a wounded duck coming into the game. They lose their other tackle.
They've been missing Christian Watson all year.
They lose their other tackle on the starting drive. They lose multiple defenders in this game. They lose Josh Jacobs at the end of the game. And they lose Jaden Reed and Romeo Dubes in this game. They didn't have a shot with the guys that were on the field at the end of the game.
Bro, you picked the Eagles. Can you victory lap this shit or what?
I'm giving Green Bay a little bit of a credit here, Spread. They couldn't do anything with Malik Heath, Bo Melton, and Dontavian Wicks as your 3 main options. There was just nothing for him at the end of the game. They had no shot. But in reality, they had a shot the entire game because Philly wouldn't put them away. Do that this week. Do that next week. I guarantee Philly gets upset. They better play better than they showed up today. If this Philly team shows up in Detroit, yeah, I'll be all over Detroit.
All right. Well, we're going to be opposite there.
Jacoby
I
Dean
don't
went
think you're
down,
giving this Philly
Darius Slay
defense
went
credit.
down.
The Green Bay offense has been good all year. One of the best young quarterbacks in the league. One of the best running
Lose your
backs in the
starting
league.
tackles and lose your center in the game, and then tell me how good your offense is going to be.
All right. What do you think, JC?
No, I mean, I agree with Tyler. I mean, it should have been 21-0 at half. And I mean, Green Bay just gave Philly all these opportunities and Philly just, couldn't capitalize. So it was a game that really could have gone either way. And, Philly ended up winning by 12, but I mean, they could have just as easily lost, or they could have won by 20. And it was just not their best football. It doesn't worry me too much. Like, I do more write it off as a bad game. I mean, it's better to get it out of the way now and be glad that your defense, kept you ahead the whole game. But it certainly will make a person think twice about the Eagles' next matchup.
I mean, spread.
It's a double-digit playoff victory against a solid team. The
Spread.
Green Bay Packers won.
Can we agree the back door should have never been open after the first quarter in this game for us on this 4.5? Because we could have got backdoored on the last drive of the game. They never put this team away.
I don't think so, because I don't think they would have gone for 2.
They would have went for 2.
I don't think so. Would they?
Probably. The way
What's your sweet beat down 5?
the way the
down
floor
4?
plays, they were going for 2.
I don't think so.
Also, spread, you're just yeah, sure, the final score was a double-digit win, but you're still just going to ignore everything we saw.
What am I ignoring? An excellent defensive performance against one of the best coaches and one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. The ability to shut down one of the best top running backs in the league. The ability to run their offense efficiently and get Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the league, going. They played to their strength.
We see in this game that were dead in the water for Philly, and then Green Bay handed them 15 yards and a first down.
Right. Also, the defense kept us in the game because they managed 3 interceptions. That's not going to happen next week. You're not going to get 3 interceptions next week.
You don't think so? You don't
You
think
lost
Sam
key
Darnold
pieces
or
on this defense
Matt
too.
Stafford
That
could
we
throw
just
for 3
it's
interceptions?
glossing over.
What?
Jacoby Dean's not coming back. He tore his patellar tendon. Darius Slay might not come back either.
Okay.
These are key defenders on this Philly defense, Brady. Keep shrugging your shoulders.
How many defenders have the Lions lost? And you're shrugging your shoulders about that?
You do realize half those guys come back this week, right? And a couple of them were back for week 18.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They lost 6, and I've only lost 2 on the Eagles defense. Anything else on this game?
Yeah.
I love a fired up Tyler in the morning. All right.
I try to drag spread away from walking himself into depression with these bets, and he's going to do it again.
Well, hold on. Is the Eagles game set?
No, they get the winner of Vikings-Rams.
Yeah. They're going to win that game.
Then they're going to walk in Detroit and get smoked.
No, they're not. Detroit might not even beat the Commanders.
Stop. See,
Perfect
here he
segue.
goes again, JC. Cue up the message halfway through Saturday or Sunday that goes, why the hell did I bet Washington? They're down 21-0.
I haven't bet them yet. We're just talking right now.
I mean, it is also one of those things it's the outlook for next week is very much dependent on what happens in this game, right? Because if the Vikings play like they played all seasons, they beat the Rams, you're really gonna have to think about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear Tyler talk about backing Sam Darnold.
I would rather trust Matt Stafford to go in there and shred that.
That's what I was gonna say.
But
if the Rams come out and smoke the Vikings to win by a touchdown or more, I don't know. It's going to be foolish, or you're going to be thinking Rams are in playoff mode.
You're going to have a top 5 defense versus the 27th ranked defense.
No, what I want to know is say, Minnesota wins by a field goal. What's the spread going to be in Philly?
-6.
I'd say it's set the same as Green Bay, -4.5, somewhere in there.
Oh, then I'll hammer the
You
Eagles.
think
But if
so?
it's like a touchdown,
Yeah.
if it's
I
like
don't
a
know how you
touchdown,
I don't know how
might-
you upgrade them 2 points against a better team when they didn't look all that good.
Well, the Vikings were better, like statistically, than the Packers.
Yeah, the Vikings are better than Green Bay. So why are we making the Eagles -6.5 when they were just -4.5 against Green Bay? Missing pieces.
Okay, I understand your point. Okay, all right. Yeah, maybe it is 4 or 5. All right, but let's talk about that game. What a performance from Jaden Daniels. And it was weird because I felt watching that game, like when the Eagles got ahead, I didn't think the Packers had a chance to come back. I kind of knew the Commanders had a chance to come back that whole time. The fumble by Baker Mayfield, of course, was disappointing, but I don't want to badmouth the Buccaneers. I want to give the Commanders their credit, man, because this is a fun story, especially for those of us who root for shitty teams. To see them just draft a quarterback, they go in. This defense, you talk about pieces, Tyler, doesn't have a lot of pieces. I'll admit Bobby Wagner was a huge pickup, and the defensive line is playing well. But overall, this roster, the defensive roster is not that good. Let's give credit to Dan Quinn, and let's really see what a young, exciting, elite quarterback can really do for a team, because now everybody's excited. He got McLaurin involved earlier. Jahan Dotson scored. I mean, that was in the Eagles game. I'm sorry. Who was the other guy that was scoring for
De'Ami Brown scored.
Yeah, De'Ami Brown, who we all thought was going to be great with Sam Howell last year because of their North Carolina connection or whatever. But I want to give credit to the Commanders, and I don't think that they're this instant out next week against Detroit like you do, Tyler. Talk to me about what you saw in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good game. It's probably the best game on the board when it comes to playoffs.
For sure.
All the other games kind of went as scripted. Teams got beat up on.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think if you flip the ball at the end of that game and give Baker the ball and try and let him drive down and kick a field goal, we're probably talking about Tampa Bay winning this game the same way Washington did.
Yeah,
it felt like whichever quarterback had the ball last was going to win the game. Because in the fourth quarter, each time they got the ball, they went right down, except for the fumble drives that happened. So other than those little turnovers, they just kept scoring. The defenses weren't really a factor. Now, as for this week, I like Washington. I like what they did. Cool story. I think Jaden Daniels is great. I'd probably sacrifice my firstborn to have him in Pittsburgh as my quarterback for the next 12 years. But, Spread, you talked in your breakdown just now. You said their defense ain't that good. They got a guy named Bobby Wagner who's about as old as you playing middle linebacker. Yeah, he's good. But is he catching Jahmyr Gibbs when Jahmyr Gibbs comes through that offensive line and runs right past them? I don't think so. They're playing the best offense and the best offensive line this week.
Yeah.
David Montgomery's back. They are going to run the ball down this team's throat. And if they want to throw it, they can easily throw it to J-Mo, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta. You don't think Dan Campbell was already game planning for these guys right once that game ended last night? They're also going to blitz Jaden Daniels to hell like they did Sam Darnold. He's going to get hit a lot. I don't know if you guys caught that hit during the game where he went airborne going out of bounds.
That was crazy.
I've never seen a guy get hit and fly at that angle before. He's going to be picking himself up a lot off the ground in this Detroit matchup. I think Detroit just kind of names their score.
All right. Tyler's on Detroit. Right now, I'm leaning towards the Commanders plus the points. JC, what did you see in that game last night, and what do you see for this game next week?
I didn't get to watch much of it as I was flying across the country.
You missed the best game.
I know. I'm really upset about it. Like I said, I got to be
You got to be like me and skip the Broncos.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely would have been the move. So I mean, I don't have too much feedback, but that game kind of went as expected. Expected it to be close. It didn't end up picking a side just because I could so easily see it going either way. Both teams were playing well to end the season. But I don't know. Like I said, Washington's a fun story. It's kind of the team I wanted to see win. I think it'll be a more fun matchup against the Lions, right? Like it might be. I still think Lions will win and cover, but I think Commanders will score more points. I won't say they'll keep it competitive.
You think they'll cover? You like the Lions?
No. I don't. But they'll score more points. Like I think as they play with Tampa Bay, I think they would just absolutely embarrass them. I think the Commanders might put up 20 points and at least make it the first half fun to watch.
Tell me this doesn't line up just like CJ Stroud last year. Round one, played the Broncos, beat them. Everyone was scared in round one to bet them. He won. Everyone was right on the train. Played Baltimore the following week. Got absolutely put in the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a playoff game in Detroit. I mean, like, I know they had a home game last year, but
I believe they had a home game, but that atmosphere as the 1 seed, knowing you're the favorite to win the Super Bowl, yeah, this is going to be a hostile environment in Detroit on Sunday.
For sure. Those boys are going to be riled up. Campbell's going to have them right, and then it's going to be ugly. Probably worth looking at some alt spreads on that one.
Oh, you guys are crazy. I think Jaden Daniels is that one thing that you can't account for. You can't account for his speed in practice, and the guy gets things done. I'm not saying that I'm taking the plus 411 on the money line, although I do think they're live, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll talk myself into it by the time this kicks off on the next Saturday at 5 p.m.
Brett, point to one game this season that makes you think Washington can compete with the Lions.
Their games against the Eagles where they kept it close.
What, where Jalen Hurts went down and Kenny Pickett was throwing passes?
Yeah. That one? Like,
what the hell are we doing?
Well, we'll discuss this again tomorrow. Now,
I'm just saying, dude, like it's the playoffs.
Here, I know what we could do to kind of make spread be on the right. So let's change these waves to blue spread. See, they're blue for Detroit. You got to bet Detroit now.
All right, keep those waves for tomorrow. And of course, guys, tomorrow will be at the same time, 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific. Jamie will be here. And we'll have Tyler and I will have the same arguments, but we'll have Jamie.
I cannot wait to see the grin on your face when you get to talk about Green Bay with him.
Dude, I forgot how bad the Commanders could only beat Dallas by 4 in Week 18, and in Week 17, Atlanta took them to overtime. And you think this team can run with Detroit?
This team's getting buried.
Oh.
All right. Well, as the leader of the Jaden Daniels hype train, all I have to
this
say
is going to look like one of them UFC fights where like they build up this prospect that just beat up a bunch of trash cans and he finally fights a legit guy and it's like, oh my, he's getting his ass beat.
I mean, also too, just rookie quarterback, like, he kind of got given a nice warm up with Tampa Bay. He's going to be in over his head.
A good defense.
No, they're not.
Yeah, but just everything about that game, like he's going to be in over his head.
All right. We will disagree on that one, and we can continue this argument tomorrow. But Tyler, let's argue about tonight. Fighting Sam Darnold, the Minnesota Vikings, defensive coordinator Brian Flores, head coach Kevin O'Connell, travel to Arizona to take on the Rams. And everyone had so much fun burying the Vikings and Sam Darnold last week after their disappointing loss to the Minnesota Vikings. But guess what? You're never as bad as your worst game, and you're never as good as your best game. This is an excellent buy low opportunity. Finally, and I hate to make this part of my handicap, but I think we have to, Tyler. We saw how discombobulated the Chargers looked, having their whole city be on fire during their week of preparation. We know that the Rams' problems got all messed up. They're wearing masks at practice, and even if their homes individually burned down, their friends, their family, the concern. I mean, it's not a normal week of preparation for Los Angeles. And of course, here at Fanspeak, our hearts go out to everyone affected by those fires down south. As a Northern California and person who's dealt with fires now for the last 10 years, it really is something scary. And I hate to bring this into a sports gambling show, but I think we also have to factor in this might not be the best week of preparation for one of the big advantages that this Rams team has, and that's the coaching and the way that Sean McVay prepares his team for the game. So our last argument of the show, we'll be able to continue tomorrow, but tell me why you think I'm wrong for betting the Minnesota Vikings.
I only think you're wrong from one little perspective. I wouldn't bet this game right now. I would not bet this game. I would want to wait and see how they look on the field. Because just as much as all the Rams players have their homes to worry about, let's not forget Sam Darnold's from the LA area. Yeah. You don't think his mind's going? Jordan Addison played his final year at college at USC, also a California kid. A lot of these guys on Minnesota probably go to the West Coast, have a home out there. They're
point.
probably also worried with family and friends out there too. So I think it affects both sides more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I see where you're going with the Vikings pick. I understand it. My worry is, though, the Rams can get similar pressure to what Detroit did last week. They could have Darnold in the same kind of bind. And if Darnold does manage to get more points on the board than he did last week, I think Stafford and Puka and these guys could also keep up. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm going to wait to bet it live on the side. I mean, probably a small lean to the Vikings, but there is no way I'm clicking before I see them out on the field.
Fair enough. All right. I'm surprised. I thought Tyler was going to be all in on the Rams here, fading Sam Darnold. Your thoughts, JC?
It's a few things. First off, this is just so funny to me because this has played out exactly like it did for the Vikings 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Tyler and I all season talking about how great it's going to be to fade them in the first round of the playoffs. And then that year they got the Giants. This year they got LA. It's like, all right, they're actually going to get out of the first round. So I like LA, but Minnesota, I like them here. I just think it's a good spot for them. I don't think LA is that good. I kind of agree with everything going on in LA. Definitely tough spot. I was wondering how this game, like all that stuff aside, just having to play in Arizona, I wonder how that affects it, kind of losing that home field advantage. Not that it's a crazy environment like a Detroit or Green Bay or anything, but it's definitely something. I also really like the under here. Just again, with all that going on, I don't think everyone's going to be at their best. Also, the Houston game was the only one to go over this week, so unders are hot. So I like that. And I just like Minnesota in the under, but I agree. I think waiting in game was probably the way to go and get at least like maybe do half a unit and then place another half or a full unit once the game gets rolling.
All right. Sounds like there's two people over there on that. So finally, I see my guy. He says, Fire Tomlin. We were arguing on Twitter. I said, show up in the chat.
I tried to get that up on the screen. You clicked it at the same time.
Because I wanted to put it up too, because I was just messaging him on Twitter, show up to our show.
I know, but it built some more ammunition for me because it looked like I went to slander him and you were like, yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, I did. No. I mean, no, we can't slander greatness.
Also, let me just say that, I set my daughter up and I was like, she'll be fine for like 20 minutes. We only got to break down 4 games. Only Spread Astaire could drag a 4-game slate into an hour-long show.
That's because he made me go 20 minutes trying to debate why Tomlin's the actual problem. He's trying to blame the other 95 people in the organization that have been there for like 12 hours.
Front office for front office issues. My bad.
Tyler, what did you say when's the last time the Steelers won a playoff game?
Vietnam.
Well, I know they beat the Dolphins back in 17.
The last one they won was against the Chiefs when they still had Alex Smith.
Okay. So was that?
It was the year.
So is that 18 then?
Yeah, 18.
Because
yes,
17
they lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, that was 17. The year that the Patriots lost to the Eagles.
Yep, that was it.
All you Fire Tomlin guys, it just reminds me of like the guys that want to divorce their wife or open up their marriage. They're not realizing like what else is out there. So they leave their wife. Their wife goes and gets a new guy right off the bat because they're women. And then the guy's sitting there going, wait, why did I get rid of this?
Wouldn't that be hilarious if they fired Tomlin and then Tomlin goes to like Dallas?
I don't think you fire him as much as you. If the Saints got a first, a second, and a third for Sean Payton, you can get a lot for this guy.
That's true. So. That's a very good point. It's a very good point.
So. All right, but we're down.
Jerry Jones would never, but like that's the perfect example.
I mean, how many times have we flee Chicago? Call him up again.
That's a good point.
He would actually be perfect.
They might even give you.
He would be
perfect Caleb for Tomlin.
That would be absolutely hilarious if we landed the franchise quarterback for him.
It would be couple seconds. I don't think a first round pick's going for a coach. Again.
2 years ago,
Yes.
it fetched a first, second, to third for Sean Payton, who's not as good as a coach as Mike Tomlin, and
And
had the
also,
bounty
too,
gates
like-
baggage he was bringing in. What are you talking about?
And also, not only that, like Sean Payton, wasn't he like he was gonna retire? Like it was kind of like
Yeah,
this guy's in coaching anyways. It's just the rights to him.
that whole never having a losing season will fetch you at least a first round pick.
At least
All
one.
right. Well, it's not going to happen, so there's no reason to debate it. You guys are really good at props. You guys have props for tonight.
Why don't you go first, JC?
Again, I'm kind of just sticking with that under theme and thinking, the Rams just aren't going to be their sharpest. What's that number? I just had it. Give me Matt Stafford under 266 yards passing.
All right. JC going with a Stafford under. What do you think, Tyler? Do you have any props for tonight?
I kind of like this Hawkinson over 4.5 catches at plus 116. That seems
I like
light.
that.
Yeah.
That seems light. I don't mind going with a where's Jordan Addison's touchdown here. I know we're going to get a nice plus money on that.
Yeah, for
Plus
sure.
150. Don't mind that either. And then always a shot on Jalen Naylor touchdown, 5-1.
All right, and
Yes.
that's what our guy in the chat says. He wrote Naylor, but I know he meant first TD Jalen Naylor. I'm sure that's over 10-1. So there's
First
some fun
touchdown
ways
on
to look
Naylor,
at
I'm
tonight.
seeing 28-1, so that'd be a nice
Yeah.
call.
I mean, that'd be great. And then I would throw the anytime TD in there as well. Okay. So there you have it. That's our thoughts for tonight. Any other thoughts for wild card tonight? Anything else, Tyler? And then we'll throw it to JC.
Did you see Dallas finally fired McCarthy right before we came on?
Yeah, don't care.
Vrabel took the New England job, but what do we think you guys do?
Don't care.
They
I mean, it doesn't matter.
they already said they're out on Dion, so you don't got to worry about that circus.
I mean, it's like this for the Raiders, right? No matter what, we're gonna have the worst coach and the worst quarterback in the division. No matter what, what it doesn't even matter. Literally, does not matter. And you have no chance of being successful. Not this year. That quarterback draft isn't deep enough to find someone unless you're picking one or two or maybe three. You're not getting anyone that changes the franchise. So even if you gave Tom, you sent Tomlin to this Raiders team, Tyler, I think that winning season thing would end. I mean, even the very best coaches aren't going to get things done over here.
No, I agree.
I don't think Dion goes anywhere. I think Dion stays in Colorado.
I think Dion stays in Colorado 1 to 2 more years and he ends up in Florida State.
maybe,
You think he goes
I'm
Florida
just talking
State, not the
about
NFL?
I don't think his coaching
I don't
style
think he's
works
an
in the
NFL
NFL.
coach. I think he's a college coach.
Just like as good as the Chargers were this year, I don't think Harbaugh's stint with the Chargers lasts longer than 4 to 5 years because I don't think that coaching style works well. Yelling at players that make more money than you.
Yeah, and that could be true. So that's why I tell my Raiders fans buddies, 5 years. Okay. Harbaugh will leave. Reed's getting older. Peyton's getting older. Mahomes will be getting older. But, I mean, just there's certain things that just don't matter. That's how I view this Raiders coach or service. Hi. Okay, great, JC. On anything else, Tyler, and then we'll go to JC and we'll sign off.
Nope, we can get to JC.
All right, JC. Words of wisdom to get us out of here, and thank you for joining us today.
No problem. I would just say the hardest thing about being a parent is these freaking kids.